Hey everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to our podcast. We're finally doing it. We're so excited and extremely ready to be getting this going. It's something that we've talked about for a really long time. So for those of you who don't know, I am Kayli. I am the mom in this mother-daughter duo, and this is
I'm Braylee. I'm the daughter.
like I said, we wanted to start a podcast about 5 years ago. I think that we figured out that is when we officially purchased all of the equipment, and we were going to do it. And there were a lot of things that stopped us from doing it. I'm not sure what it was exactly, but Braylee is 18 now. So how you would have been like
13,
14 around there when we were thinking about doing it.
We've both grown a lot as people, and so it's just going to be more beneficial now that we're starting it, and a lot better because there could have been things I would say then that I might regret now. So.
Do you think you would have?
Probably not.
Yeah, Braylee has a personality that's always been like, I'll talk about that. We can discuss that. More so than me. I think that I'm always like, I mean, obviously I'm her mom. I want to protect her. Yeah. But I think that Braylee has a kind of personality, and I will talk about her personality throughout the entirety of her life because I just think it's so great. But she really sticks by what she says.
Yeah. And I don't have a problem with being vulnerable. Which is good for this podcast, I feel like.
Yeah, it is really good. That's what we're hoping. And there was one time that we did actually sit down to start filming, and I don't know what was going on, or I don't know. I think that I felt like if I'm going to do a podcast, I need to be a good mom.
Yeah.
If we're going to do this podcast together, I want to show like these are the things that I do that have worked. And I felt like we sat down and that Braylee was kind of like, well, these are the things that don't work. And I was like, oh, what?
Yeah, I remember that.
And it hurt my feelings a little bit. And I think that, like Braylee said, we've grown a lot because now I would be like, yeah, the different things that we've gone through. I'm like, you can be a good mom and not know what you're doing. You can be a good mom and feel like a really bad mom sometimes.
Yeah. I think that's important to know throughout this podcast too, is like, we don't think we're perfect. Like, we're still learning. Like, I'm her first daughter, you know. She's still learning how to be a mom. I'm still learning how to be a daughter. So that's important to remember. Like, we're not perfect.
Yeah, that is something that is very, very important to put out there. This is not necessarily a place where we want to, like, give advice.
Yeah.
But more just have a connection and hopefully help anyone that's struggling to communicate, because as imperfect as we are, we've always been able to come back together and to communicate and to talk. And I feel like somehow we've just always been able to do that.
Yeah.
And I know that that's really hard. Braylee knows that that's really hard. You know, I have mom friends who will say, you know, how do you talk to your kids about this or that? Because my kids just won't talk to me about it. And I'm sure with your friends.
I've had friends who are always like, I can't talk to my mom about this stuff. Like, what advice do you have? Because she knows I always like talk to my mom, or they know. There's been a few of them. So we've always been asked for advice.
Yeah, I think that's really normal. And I know that there have been times in Braylee's life that it's taken her some time to come to me, even though we do have that relationship. So I just don't ever want anyone that's listening to think that we have it figured out, because we do not. In fact, we were going to film this podcast a couple days ago and got into a fight, and I was like, never mind. Yeah. We have no business doing a podcast together.
Yeah, we still get in fights, so.
And something that Casey always says is, this is the stuff that you guys need to be doing a podcast about, like the real things that are happening. And I think from the time that we tried to film that podcast, I really realized I don't have to be or present myself in a way that is acceptable to other people. Yeah. I would rather be vulnerable and tell you the things that haven't worked, the things that I've messed up on, and the things that I've learned along the way. And I hope that conversation continues in the comments or on Instagram or, you know, wherever you're finding us, wherever you're hearing this. I just want to keep that conversation going, because anyone listening to this is your voice matters to us. And I think that is something that I've really taken away. We've been doing YouTube for almost 12 years now. And I have found so much value in other people's opinions, and that's a scary thing to say because sometimes people's opinions are very abrasive and unnecessary and rude. But I have always tried to read between the lines also and see if I can take something away from what they're saying. But anyways, I hope that you guys will keep the conversation going because that's really important to us. So for this first episode, we just kind of wanted to intro into what we're wanting to do, get your feedback, and just kind of update you on where we are in life, where I am as a mom, where Braylee is as an 18-year-old. She is still in high school. She's a senior, getting ready to go into her last trimester.
Yep, it starts next week.
Which is just... It's really weird. I actually have a hard time like thinking about it. But the thing that really got us to sit down, film this episode was that a brand reached out to see if I wanted to collaborate. It's a brand that I love. And Braylee has something really, really exciting coming up this fall that we're going to talk about in just a second. I knew that she was trying to save some money. So I was like, hey, Braylee, want to sit down and do the podcast? We can talk about this brand, which is HelloFresh, something that I love, something that I've used. I've worked with them before. It's so funny because I was just thinking I should really order HelloFresh because poor Casey has been cooking every night, every single night. I just have gotten to the point in mothering, in parenting, that I don't want to think about dinner anymore. Yeah. And Casey's really stepped up, but even a couple nights ago, he was like, I don't want to think about dinner. So he reached that point also. I was like, okay, it's my turn. And I was just thinking about HelloFresh, and it just so happened that they reached out. So it was like the perfect collaboration.
You manifested it.
I did. I manifested it. And so this is something that I will continue using. Also, the meals are delicious.
They're so good.
They're so good. And also like really, really easy to make. So Braylee and I cooked dinner. It's such a great way for your children to learn how to cook, because with HelloFresh's Chef Craft seasonal recipes, they come with all of the ingredients, all pre-portioned and ready to go. You can cook them and just enjoy it. So that's such an easy way for kids to learn how to cook, or adults.
Yeah, I agree. You get to learn how to cook, but also like now that I'm graduating next year and I'm going to be on my own, it's a good option because it's almost 70% cheaper than dining in at a restaurant, and it's cheaper than grocery shopping. So like if I ever need an alternative, I can order HelloFresh.
That is a really good point, because when you go to college, it's so easy to make bad choices when it comes to eating. And also you're going to be busy.
Yeah.
So HelloFresh knows that you're busy, and that's why they take care of meal planning and prepping, freeing up extra time in your schedule. And HelloFresh also has 40 weekly recipes to choose from. So you can take your pick from meals like soy glazed salmon, which is something that I really love with rice, or mushroom and chive risotto. We actually made a garlic butter shrimp scampi that was
so good. March is also National Nutrition Month, and we have a cruise coming up. So HelloFresh is dietitian approved. So if you just simply look for the dietitian win tag on their menu, you can find meals under 700 calories with 1/3 less sodium, which is awesome.
I mean, what we're saying is HelloFresh is a win-win. And also, go to HelloFresh.com and use code HeyKayli60 for 60% off plus free shipping. I mean,
that's a good deal.
That's a great deal. Yeah. So I just feel like you really need to give it a try. Like Braylee said, I manifested this. I'm manifesting it to you. It's just going to make life a little bit easier. We all have so much going on.
And remember to go to HelloFresh.com and use code HeyKayli60 for 60% off and free shipping.
And a big thank you to HelloFresh for sponsoring our first podcast. I don't know if that will be something that happens on all the podcasts, but we're really hoping to get some sponsorships along the way. Because what do you have going on? Tell us about this big news, the big exciting news happening this fall.
This is the first time I've told social media about it.
Do you feel ready to tell?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I've been so excited. So I heard about this program through one of my friends, actually. And basically it's just a program that sends a group of kids to a different country. Yes, it is safe. There's people there watching us, security guards, gated communities. Like, it's a safe area where we'll be staying, and there's teachers with us, so it'll be safe. A lot of people have been worried about that part.
Especially Mom. I'm just super stressed about it. What?
I love watching the people's like faces when I tell them where I'm going. They're like, oh,
like what?
Yeah. But I will be going there, working at a school and teaching little kids English, as well as working at an orphanage, which is so awesome.
It is really cool. It is hard for me. Braylee likes seeing people's reactions, and then if we're together, they look at me like, "Are you okay?" And a big part of me is not okay. Obviously, I'm not okay with just the fact that Braylee is going to be, leaving.
Yeah.
And that is scary, and it's not something that I can't fully process it at this time. And for the past couple of years, I've thought we need more parents talking about how to get through these times, because it's such a crazy part of life. For years now, we've been growing our family and making adjustments to grow our family. Yeah. And now I'm at the point where my family is going to start feeling smaller. Obviously,
not getting smaller.
Not getting smaller, but it's feeling smaller in our home even already, with Braylee being really busy. Yeah. I know Gage is just going to get busier, and it feels empty. And that is not something that I was like fully prepared for. You hear all the time people say time goes by so fast, but gosh dang.
It really flew by. Like, being a senior in high school, I remember being a freshman like it was yesterday, and it's been like a little weird. My high school's been a little weird with like COVID, and we did hybrid for a little while, and then school got canceled, so I feel like it flew by like 10 times faster than maybe it would have, or maybe time just flies by, but
it really weird. Does. The older you get, the faster time flies by, and it's wild. But yeah, that's just something that I do plan on talking a lot more in this podcast about, because I just feel like we need to prepare parents for that stage in life, because it's a weird feeling, and it's a weird thing to prepare for. Yeah. Like I said, it's really hard for me to even begin to process. But going back to what Braylee has decided to do, I don't want my fears or the things that I worry about to take away from Braylee's experience or her excitement, because I am above all so proud. Yeah. I'm so proud that she found something that she is really excited about, because the beginning of this year, Braylee was stressed to the max about what next year was going to look like.
Yeah, because it's stressful being a senior, and like everyone always asks me like, what's your plans after you graduate? Like, I hear that question probably 20 times a day, and it gets so stressful. You're like, oh, like, I'm at the point in my life I actually have to figure that out, and it just starts to build up, and I had the worst anxiety attacks at nighttime. So I'm thankful like I found something that I'm going to make an impact on other people's life, but it's also going to make such an impact on my life, and so it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about how it goes, and I am nervous.
Yeah.
But Braylee is an old soul. She has just always been really independent, and she's always had this confidence about her. So I know that she'll take care of herself, and she's smart. And I think that she is aware, and I am constantly sending her TikToks of like things to watch for, because there was also this shift where I used to like worry about walking to my car and making sure like, we're together as a group, and I'm checking this and that. And now thinking that Braylee's going to be on her own, I'm like, are you checking, this around your car? And always. If you see like this on your windshield, there's so many things that you hear about. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you have to always be aware. But Braylee is so smart, and I am so excited. Yeah. I'm so excited for you.
It'll be so amazing.
And I am really happy to see like that stress ease. Yeah. Like once you made that decision, it just felt like all of that stress from feeling the need to make the decision right now. Braylee has so many different career paths that she could choose.
I have so many things that I love, and I would find myself happy. It's just hard like finding the right one. Everyone's like, you can change when you get in college, like your major, but I don't know. I feel like once I'm committed to something, like I want to stay committed to it. So I feel like I have to make the perfect choice. There's a few different choices. So.
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. Like you want to commit, and I think that's good. But I also think that you're at the age where you need to be okay with changing. Yeah. You don't need to commit to a career path right now. I know that can look like the loss of money, because school is expensive. So expensive. And you want to get scholarships and this and that. And Braylee would come into my room crying about applying to college. And I was like, listen, you can apply to college later. Yeah. If you're this stressed out about it, you can apply to college later. You need to live your life right now. Yeah. You're a senior in high school. You will never get this time back.
And I'm thankful for that because I feel like those talks did actually take a lot of stress like off my chest. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be a disappointment to the family. I can just take a break.
Yeah, and that's a scary feeling, but we would never think that. And so I think that is a good reminder always in all of the different stages in life is to remember to live in the present moment because you don't ever get this time right now back. And so I think that is just something that we always have to kind of pause and take a deep breath and live in the present time.
At the end of this track, because we just finished yesterday, our math teacher gave us back like little note cards that we wrote to ourselves at the beginning of the year. And mine said live every day in the present. And I feel like I actually have done that so much this year. I've had the best year, so I'm so thankful for that.
Good job. Yep. Good job. Well,
don't ask me what my plan is after this trip.
That's okay. You'll figure it out. There's time. There's so much time. Like I told Braylee, I don't even really know what I'm doing. Yeah. So, all through high school, I didn't ever experience the stress that Braylee had because I always knew that I wanted to do hair. Yeah. My plan was always to go to beauty school as soon as I graduated, and that is what I did. But then, after 8 years of doing hair, well, I guess not even quite 8 years of doing hair, I went down this new career path and did social media, did, YouTube. So you never know where life is going to take you. And that's why I think it's really important to be open. Yeah. Be open to new opportunities and, because you just never know where that will take you.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like my life has changed so much. Like, I look back at last year where I was and, like, now it's just so weird how different life changes in a year. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's important to know because I leave in August. And so I have basically a year to figure out what I want to do. And who knows where I'm going to, like, what person I'll be then. Yeah. What I'll love then. I feel like my trip will make me, like, realize so many new things. So.
Yeah, you can hope for that. I mean, hope for that. Yeah. Because you want that growth and that experience. I think with any new experience, especially when you get out of, like, your little bubble, that is when big growth can happen. I mean, I feel like big growth happened when we moved to California, and you were so little that I know that you didn't really see a lot of that. Yeah. But then I had even more growth, I think, from taking what I learned in California and moving back. Yeah. I mean, I don't live in the exact same town that I lived in before, but just taking those things that I've learned, then I had so much more growth here. Yeah. So I'm excited for you. I think it's amazing. Such a cool opportunity and something that I think that you'll be so grateful that you did.
I'm not going to share exactly where I'm going, but it's going to be, like, by the beach, and I feel like my love for, like, becoming a marine biologist is going to grow so much. So yeah. I see that probably being my career path because if you know me, I love aquariums.
She loves aquariums. I'm like, Braylee, we cannot go more than once a year.
And
come
zoos. I love aquariums and zoos. I always make our family go every time we're on a trip. Like, come on, guys.
And it's always fun. Yeah. I love it. I'm always like the Debbie Downer, like, I don't want to go again. But it is always so much fun. Yeah. But also you're going to be working with kids. Yeah. And another thing that Braylee has always wanted to do is be a social worker or do something in that field.
Psychology.
Yeah. So it will be really interesting to see.
The nice thing is I'm not really, a lot of people are like, oh, you're going to lose a year of college, but I did most of my, like, credentials. Is that my base classes?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure it's called
You're asking the one that didn't go to college, or you got a lot of credits, or?
Yeah, I, did my, core classes in high school, so I have over 18 college credits graduating, so I'm not too worried about that.
And you'll get college credits for
and I get, yep.
So it is, so Braylee will be going and working, but she doesn't get paid. She has to pay to go. So that's what we were talking about. She's trying to save up some money and also need some money to live on while she's there. Yeah. So if you need anyone to come over and do some work around the house, just kidding. Let her know. And then hopefully we were just watching a podcast and the two hosts of the show film from different places.
Yeah.
And I was showing Braylee, I'm like, I think that we can do this. I think that even, wherever you end up, hopefully you have enough internet that we can still do the podcast while she's gone, which will be so cool to hear about what you're doing and catch up and see. And then also, maybe have some guests, or I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Never. But we'll see what happens when that time comes. And we do hope to also have some guests here on the podcast with us.
We have a few people in mind already.
Yeah, so. I started a little list. I mean, just of mostly families on my list now, for now. But hopefully that will expand, especially, the good thing about, going through what we've been through the past 3 years. I think a lot of people podcast over Zoom and do different things like that. We've realized that we're able to connect with people everywhere at all times, and it works.
Internet's awesome.
Yeah, so you'll have to let us know if there are any guests that you guys would like to hear from. I would love to have, people who can come on and actually give advice. We're going to share our experiences and the different things that we've learned, but to have people who actually know what they're talking about might be nice also.
It'll be awesome if I major in psychology, because I'll know a little bit more for this podcast.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah. What else was I going to say? I can't remember.
So many things.
There's so many things, guys. I really wanted this first one just to kind of be us talking about what we hope the podcast will be. And hopefully in the next couple of days, we'll have some feedback and we'll film another podcast soon. We're going to start by doing one a week, but I would love to get to the point where we're doing two. Yeah. Maybe a longer one and then a shorter one, just to get a little more content out there. Also, I'm uploading right now onto my channel, and I really hope to have a podcast.
Yeah.
Or have a separate channel for the podcast. I just didn't want this to get lost. I felt like if I put it on my channel for now, that hopefully people will find it and we can kind of get that out there a little bit better. And then hopefully just kind of keep growing. I don't know. I have so many ideas and different things. Yeah. There are a lot of little projects that Braylee and I have wanted to work on. And I don't know. I'm just so excited. More than anything, I hope for both of us in our lives to keep growing and learning. And that is why there's no need to be perfect. I want to break that stigma where you can't do it unless you're doing it right. You can do it, and you can keep trying, and you can keep growing, because once we get to a point where we think we have it figured out, one, that is a really scary thing to say, because, the universe is going to be like, oh, you think so? Let me show you. But also, I feel like that closes us off from the growth that we can find when, maybe we get to a stage in life where things are just going a little easier, and that's good. I think enjoy that, be present in that moment, but also be open to the opportunity to grow and to step outside of yourself, step outside of your comfort zone, try something new, or, take on a task that maybe has felt intimidating. Do something where you're always progressing and always, reaching for different goals.
If you're always staying in your comfort zone, you're always going to be stuck there. When you take that risk and you expand outside of what you would normally do, that's when you're going to grow. I am so bad at being stuck in my comfort zone. I take my little brothers to the store, I take Layla to the store, I'll call a friend and take them to the store, because I'm so bad at caring what other people think, kind of, and that's my comfort zone. I like to have someone around me, to feel secure. And I've been going to coffee shops by myself, going to the store by myself. I'm going on this trip by myself. I'm trying to grow outside my comfort zone. I've noticed such a difference in how I feel and my mood. I feel so much happier not having to rely on someone, kind of. And I feel once you step outside of that comfort zone and you take on that big challenge, it's going to make you grow so much as a person.
Yeah, I remember when we first started YouTube, I was very shy and very reserved and very scared and nervous about everything. I had no confidence. And when I first told people that I was going to be starting a YouTube channel, a lot of people were like, you? And I just remember feeling oh, is that what everyone thinks, that I can't do something like this? And I saw the quote that says, and I know we've all seen it a bunch now, but it said, do something every day that scares you. Yeah. And I remember just telling myself that all the time, it's okay, do something every day that scares you. And I can't imagine who I would be now if it weren't for YouTube, if it weren't for having this opportunity to, I mean, completely change everything about what I thought I could do. My world grew and my opportunities grew, and I grew so much as a person, and I'm so grateful for that. So I just think, good job, because that is hard. It is really hard when you just have that insecurity and you're used to like that little safety blanket of like taking someone with you. I feel uncomfortable also. I usually make someone go with me too. So it's really good. Being able to do things on your own.
Yeah, it feels so good. Like, I'll watch people on TikTok and they're like, I'm going to lunch by myself. I'm like, I could never do that. But like,
you could.
I'm growing now as a person. I literally don't know anyone I'm going on this trip with, which is like still so scary to me. I'm like, who am I going to talk to? I like worry so much about awkward situations, like sitting on the plane and not having anyone to talk to, like such weird things.
Yeah.
But I'm doing something every day that scares me. I feel like everyone, when they think of flying by themselves, like they think of this, like the dangerous aspect of it, like you could get kidnapped when you land or something like that.
Yeah.
But I feel like I only worry about like, that's going to be so awkward sitting on the plane by myself.
You can tell that I've really scared my children. Like, watch out for kidnappers. Watch out for this person. If this person is looking at you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just think it is a scary world.
Yeah.
So I think that it is. But also, like, have I put all my fears on my children? I don't know. Is there a fine line between, like, preparing your kids and like scaring them?
Better to be scared than, like...
Naive,
yeah. Just see the good in everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, you should see good in people, but... also take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I just listen to way too many crime podcasts. I especially love My Favorite Murder, and they always say, like, you don't have to be polite.
Yeah. She's like, you do not have to be nice. She always tells me that.
I just think, like, you need to, like, really feel your situation. I'm a big, like, vibe person. I'm a big, like, I can feel the energy of people, and if the energy is off at all, I now in my life where I'm at, I'm not going to be rude unless I feel the need to, but I'm definitely going to not feel like I have to be nice and I have to talk. And I feel like I'm able to just leave the situation and feel okay about that.
That's important.
Yeah.
Yep. My ears are itchy.
Also, if you're watching on YouTube, we have these nice headsets provided to us from Casey. Thankfully, he has all the equipment we needed that was just not working. Like I said, I bought it a long time ago. I don't even know what I have. It's over there, and it just wasn't.
Some awesome microphones.
Yeah.
Layla
so
uses them.
We're doing this. Yeah. I mean, we should have got it together, but it's okay. Anyway, that was kind of just a random first episode. We're really excited. They're not all going to be like this. This was just a lot of us jabbering, and I do hope that we can talk about what's going on, do updates, fill people in on what's new at the beginning of at the beginning of every episode. Yeah. We were talking before we started that we do want to talk a lot about parenting. We want to talk about a lot of topics that are hard for parents and children to talk to each other about. And we've asked before, what are some things that you would want us to talk about? And we're asking once again, and we just want to hear from you guys.
I feel like there's some topics that come up in like your household and you get responses from like your parent, or if you're a mom, like getting it from your daughter that you don't necessarily feel like secure about. I feel like we have conversations sometimes. I'm like, like questioning it kind of. And I think that it will be nice to have someone kind of like have a broad, is that the right way to say it? Like a more broad conversation about it. And obviously, like all parents are different, all kids are different, but
yeah, we all have different perspectives. And I think that is why I said at the beginning, I really want this conversation to continue in the comments where we can all read them and respond, and maybe continue the conversation in the next podcast. Because what I learned when I moved to California is that I was raised in this little bubble, and I moved to California and I learned so much about people, and I feel like a lot of that time was taking that in. I just learned so much, and it was fascinating to me. And I don't think that I I don't think I understood their point of view until I moved back here. And I just realized how important that is. It's so important to keep those conversations going because we don't know it all.
Yeah.
And I think that what I realized that is that I didn't understand that my thinking and my beliefs were stuck in this bubble.
Yeah.
That people thought and believed things that were different, and they were just maybe they saw the world better than I did.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fully explain that. What I want to say is that I value your opinion, and I value what you have to say, and I value what you can add to this conversation. And I want to continue to learn from you guys.
Yeah.
I just really hope that this podcast will kind of be a buffer in a way where parents and children can listen together to understand where the parent is coming from and where the child is coming from. That I think that has been the reason that we've wanted to do something like this. Is because I know where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to listen. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we've really had to like even stop each other in conversations and be like, Braylee, listen to what I'm saying. And then I'll listen to you. You know, because things get heated and some topics are really hard.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of emotion that goes into everything. You know, a parent feels a lot of emotion and parents get scared and worried, and we want to lead and guide our children. But also we need to remember that, you know, not every decision that our kid makes has anything to do with us or how we've tried to lead and guide. So it's so important to listen to your child also, because then they'll be more open to listening. Is that right? Is that what you think?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the better communication you have with your kid, like coming from a kid's standpoint, I feel like the easier it is to like share the hard days and like talk about the topics that most kids don't want to talk about. Like the better you listen, the more kids are going to want to talk.
Yeah. Braylee's always been really great at communicating. We were just talking about this the other day. I've learned so much from Braylee.
I feel like kids obviously learn a lot from their parents, and like parents teach you from when you're such a little kid, but parents can also learn from their kids. Like, also times are always changing. Like me as a teenager, my teenage life is so different than like your teenage life. I feel like some parents get caught up in like, well, when I was a kid, or like I didn't have this when I was a kid, but it's so different now. Like social media is so different than like you didn't grow up on social media. She always says she had to like pay to send texts, which is so weird. But like you can also learn from your kid too, and that's important to know.
Yeah, I just think that I think that sometimes we can feel like we're the parent. Listen to what we say because we know, and we do know from different experiences, even though times are different. We do know because we've had to live through hard times, because some of those hard times might look a little different, but they're kind of similar.
Yeah.
But like I said, if we're not willing to listen and hear our kids out, they're not going to be as open to that. And we just had a conversation the other day. We were just butting heads. And I was like, what is going on? And Braylee was like, you've been yelling at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I haven't been yelling. And she was like, you do. You're starting conversations by yelling. Yeah. And then I was like, I think it's because you're not listening, and I'm feeling like I need to enter into, you know, this conversation, a conversation that I want to have, but I feel like I have to be like bigger and louder so that you listen.
Well, it's weird because like me and my other younger brother, if you have been watching, it's Gage, we're very, very different like people. Like he's very good at listening, and I just automatically like attack. Like I don't know why I always feel like I'm getting attacked when I'm getting in trouble, even if it's just like such a simple conversation. And Gage is so opposite, and she's always like, I can have this conversation with Gage and he takes it differently than you do. I mean, because you've grown up, like she's grown up, I guess. That doesn't make sense, but we've grown up with her parenting me, and I've automatically attacked. So when she approaches conversations, it feels like she's, what did I say?
I think that I
worded it good when I said it.
Yeah, it was really good.
You approach it like it's going to be a fight, because she knows it's going to be a fight because of how I have handled other conversations, basically is what I said.
Right.
And so all kids are different. And
all kids are different. And like she brought up Gage, I think that if she watches me parent Gage, it sounds different because
because me and Gage are different.
Yeah, and that's good. Yeah. It's so good. I'm so grateful that my kids are different, and that is something that you do need to take into consideration. Also, you have to parent each kid differently. Yeah. You need to know your kids, and it's the best thing to really get to know your kids. I love it. I love seeing the differences, and I'm grateful for every difference. But for a kid to see me parent Gage in a more calm way, in a way that looks more like we're just like having a little chat, and then to feel like I'm entering into a conversation aggressively, that sucks as a kid. Yeah. And that wasn't my intention, but when she said that, I was like, oh, okay, I'm doing that, and I didn't realize. Yeah. So, something as simple as that was really hard to communicate. I mean, we're talking like a couple weeks that we were just like,
yeah, like last week.
Yeah, this one just happening. It's fine. It's something that, again, we just took, we were able to have this important conversation because I didn't know that I had gotten to the point where I wasn't coming to you first just to talk. I was like,
yeah.
You ready?
Her armor on.
You ready?
But it's also important, like, going along with that conversation that we had to, like, I need to start putting myself in your shoes and you put yourself in my shoes. And I think we've been better at that recently since that conversation a week ago.
I mean, it's a daily thing because we're all human. Sometimes I have to remind my kids of that too. Like, I'm just a human trying my hardest and I don't know what I'm doing, it turns out. Because I think as a kid, you just think your parents know. Yeah. I'm like, I don't know, guys. Yeah. Like, I really don't know.
Well, it's like I could be a mom in tears just like she was, and that's
no, you could not.
Weird. I won't be, but I could be.
Yeah, that is really weird. Oh my gosh. That's the craziest thing to think about.
I feel like that, like, realization has made me be like, oh yeah, she is still learning. Because I couldn't imagine, like, being a mom and then having a teenager in 13 years. Like, that's weird. So...
Yep, not
always
easy.
Remember.
Don't know what I'm doing. We don't know what we're doing. We're all just trying our hardest.
Yeah.
And I think that is the great message of this podcast is we're all just trying our hardest.
Yeah.
And let's help each other out. And let's know that you're not alone. You're never alone because I'm here and I'm messy and it's okay.
And I'm clean.
It's all a little messy around here.
Yeah. You should see my room.
No, you should not.
You're doing my room.
Yeah, so. A lot of exciting things going on. So if you're not watching the vlogs, watch the vlogs. We're going to be, still vlogging here on HeyKayli. Also doing podcasts. Also just like, I don't know. I feel like I need a change. I don't know what that's going to be.
You should get some incense.
Oh my gosh.
Like my whole vibe has just changed so much since this morning.
Braylee came home and she was like, smell these. And they were incense. And I was like, oh, why did you buy these?
It smelled so good. It smelled like a forest. And I don't know why. I've literally smelled incense before, but it does not smell very good burning. It literally smells like a campfire in my room.
It's so funny because I wasn't allowed to have them in my room. Really? Like, I wanted them when I was in junior high, and my parents were like, no. And when I walked up here after you lit one, I was like,
you could smell it out here. Yeah, it's pretty
it just smelled like something was on fire.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, yeah, that's what's happening.
Yeah. Smelled bad. I was actually disappointed. I was like, my whole room's gonna smell like a forest. I'm painting my walls this
forest green.
It didn't help, so I'm gonna stick to candles from now on.
I don't know. They're full of toxins. I'm just listen. TikTok is great and also terrifying. Like, I need to get rid of all of the fragrances, all of the plastic.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do about everything.
In my brain, I just think like people have lived with candles for so long, so if I'm affected, I already am because I burn candles every day.
I know, and I've warmed your food up in plastic bowls. Like, I'm so sorry.
We've lived through it.
We've made it. I don't know. It's so stressful. Anyway, I feel like this podcast was a little here and there and just all over the place and a little messy. We're gonna get it contained. Yeah. And we're gonna have some really important conversations, also some fun conversations, like Braylee mentioned.
Selena or Haley? We're Team Selena, by the way.
Yeah. Stuff like that. I would love to talk about different things that are going on just on social media or like, wherever. Just I'm not going to say news because it definitely won't be news, but, just having some fun conversations also.
Well, if you guys want to know something awesome, I got a tattoo.
Really did get a tattoo. Big 18-year-old.
Maybe we should just end it on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll ring it in, but I just wanted you guys to know I got a tattoo.
There are pictures on Instagram, so.
Check out Instagram.
It's very cute.
Braylee_case.
Yeah. All right, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Please let us know what you want us to talk about. Let us know what we can do to improve. Keep all conversations going. Yeah. And
don't forget to check out HelloFresh.com for 60% off.
With the code HeyKayli60. Another big thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Hopefully we get more sponsorships. Yay! Okay, thanks you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.